Now for the first part of our assignment, this page at the top, it gives you all the instructions as well as kind of a checklist, what I'll be looking at when I give you a mark next week. So it's important that everything be clean and neat, that you don't have wrinkles or stains or holes, and you need your name on the back. Put your name, what class you're in, put the day, and also put what the assignment is. So this is assignment 1, part 1. I need your original work to mark it. The paper sizes are very important as well. Make sure that you're following the guidelines for that. So everything that's due next week is going to be on the large paper, so you'll know that. Okay, so the first thing you're going to do when you get home is to make some concept sketches. So you've had a week now for your brand to start floating around in your head. You've had a chance to speak with other people about it, and you've done a little bit of research. You've gone to your website, and you start. And when you start, I want you to start with them as large as this, so that, well, as large as what I'm showing you back here. So they're going to be quite big, but that's important because I want you to keep practicing that silhouette idea, that quick way of drawing, that you start with a silhouette and put in a little bit the detail over top. And especially in this case, because we're going to have a die cut. So that die cut, that is the whole shape of your display, and it's extremely important that we know what that is. And when you're presenting this to your client, they need to know that too, how complex or how simple it is, what kind of impact it's going to make. So for example, here on this chef, one of my ideas, you're going to start off with at least two major ideas, and then all your thumbnails are going to originate from them and be spin-offs. So here I started with a chef's secret. So in my die cut, you have the head of the chef, and I cut off his arms because they weren't really important. They make part of the display. And I want his hand to be at the front of the display. Still another die cut, but it's out the front, in front of the products. You have to pick them up from behind, but enough of them are showing that I think would be okay. Here I've gone with the cliche of hiding something under your hat, so a chef hiding the secret under his hat. And it's good to get these cliches out of the way because they are powerful, but maybe not appropriate for your audience. But do start with them if they come to mind. And the next one is him sprinkling something into his pot behind his back so that no one can notice the secret ingredient. Then the other one was my still thinking about this pH balance for my product and how these herbs and spices really do contribute quite a lot to that. So there are a bunch of vegan bodybuilders out there. I had no idea. But they're plant-based, whole food people. And so why not make one a chef? So this kind of a cross-pollination even as well. And from there, I thought I'd get rid of him and just go right directly to the powerful view of it. And then I went on, maybe the steam is creating the fist. So number them so we can see what order you did them in, where you started, what happened from there. So first I did my first concept, then I roughed out my second concept, then I started playing off this one. And you can see from my mood board that I figured I would go with that one. I photocopied a whole bunch of hands because I really thought that was where I was going to go. But the more I got into it, I really was fascinated by this idea that all of these spices contribute so much to your health. So I thought, that face, we've all seen that piece of artwork from long ago, Archibald so-and-so, who designed a face just made of vegetables. So I thought, well, maybe I've got that big fist made of vegetables from my big bowl of salad. I don't think many people, I never put these herbs on my salad, but I should be. And then, but when it took all of this long time, all these things having strength, that I finally got to the one that I think has some promise. So it took all of those to finally get to one that has some promise. And I think it's this idea of smoothies. And I realized too, this is a blender back here, and this spice is going in to give it even more power. But I realize that's my wrong audience. So who buys the spices usually? It's still traditionally women. So I'm now looking at this. After all of those, I'm still looking now, and I found this. I think that making the female figure into a blender would get more of my target audience. And maybe now I can start thinking about the details. I can start thinking that I'm going to have a feminine hand with nail polish and just a nice, lovely curved arm with gentle curves, but she's holding up the weights. So, and then I have to think this, her dress, if I show the contents of the smoothie before they're all blended, maybe that would look like a pattern on a dress, and that could form her dress. So I think I'm getting closer now, but it took a long time, and I had to reject a lot. Don't forget about the power of metaphor. So you can actually create a connection between two completely unrelated things. So if you think about maybe I don't know, anything. Maybe if you take maybe an apple and a truck. Remember, we're drawing in that funny style again. We're thinking of silhouettes first. Okay, there's an apple and a truck. What do they have in common? You wouldn't think much, but they do actually. Let's see what it is. Whoopsie. They both have hard shells. They both carry things. This can carry people. It can carry apples. And this carries seeds. It's got all those little seeds in it. And my truck travels, but so does my apple. It falls from a tree. It can roll. This can roll. In the winter, it can roll. So even two completely unrelated things can have a relation, are related. You just have to kind of stretch the truth a little bit, but it can work. So don't forget metaphor. That's really helpful. And then you're going to join up the concepts that spin off of each other with some arrows so that it looks like a dynamic page. Then, after that, you're going to look for whatever support you can, either online or in magazines, of pictures that are going to be useful when you start to put some detail on this, which is our next step. And a lot of this, I put for my chef, but I'm not going to even use my chef. But these are going to be helpful, these fellas. And then you're going to draw your products. You might want to draw your product first. So you're going to draw from 3 different views. You're going to draw from the top, and see, I can see my shoulders, so I didn't know that. And you're going to look at the proportions. And this cap surprised me, how large that is in relation to the rest. So you're just going to try to capture the proportions, draw them across, and then draw it in perspective. Those are your items to do as homework. This page should give you all the information you need. So our thumbnails are rather large, but they're so that you can practice, get some practice at this. You can start with your ballpoint pen, and then you can fix it up with you can correct all your, don't go inside with the dark though. Just leave it, our dark on the outside, and that's going to show our die. And that's punchline. What I just did there, that was punchline. Begin in the center with your 2 different concepts. Use arrows to connect. Utilize the simple silhouette. That's what's meant by simple silhouette. You're just going to say truck. So even though it took me a little time to get to truck, I had to play around a little bit. That in the end is truck. If you can start that way without having to fool around on the inside, that would be even faster. You can indicate the product tray. There's that. And number your sketches. Okay. And you need about 12. I put 11B because I didn't want to have 13. But if you need to squeeze more in, obviously I needed to because I had the wrong target audience, then squeeze a few more in. But I have at least 12 of them. And this gives you instructions for your product sketch. So in the bottom corner, I think is a good idea. That way you can put the rest of your items tastefully around. Arrange them. You can fussy cut some or leave some square. Don't forget to provide alternate views as well, because you may need a different kind of view. You may need to look up from the bottom or down from the top. I taped mine on with some transparent tape because I didn't want to use a glue stick because it always makes my paper ripple. But if you use tape, then make sure you secure it really well. Otherwise, it's going to snag onto somebody else's and damage theirs, or it's going to flap when I pick it up. So tape it all the way around.